My son sent me a box of cookies for my birthday, but I gave them to his mill then. I never thought turning 63 would feel like a mistake, but that morning it did. I was on my porch swing, black coffee in hand, staring at my patchy lawn when I heard a single knock at the door. Not the mailman's knock, not the neighbor kids, just one knock and footsteps fading. I opened the door and there it was. A plain box, brown paper, a thin blue ribbon. The handwriting stopped my heart. I hadn't seen it in 3 years. My son always wrote like a blueprint. Sharp, neat, no wasted curves. I whispered my own name under my breath when I saw it written there. Felt foolish for how soft my voice sounded. Inside, tucked in white tissue, were dozens of cookies. Each one decorated like tiny art. Blue flowers, gold leaves, sugar-dusted stars. My son never baked. Not once. But there was no note. Just one small card inside the lid. Happy birthday, Mom. Let's start over. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to eat them all, but I couldn't. Not after 3 years of silence. 3 years of nothing. Not even when I was sick. Not when my sister died. And now cookies? I slipped one cookie into a container for later. Pride maybe? Or fear? I didn't know. The rest? I packed them back up and drove them over to his mother-in-law. She'd always been kind to me. She deserved something sweet more than I did. That night, my table felt too empty, but my heart felt strangely safe. The next morning, my phone rang before I'd finished my second cup of coffee. His name flashed on the screen. I almost didn't pick up. Hi, Mom. His voice sounded like nothing had changed. Happy birthday. I got your package, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. There was a pause. Then he asked, how were they? I didn't eat them, I said. I gave them to your mother-in-law. Silence, thick, then sharp, like a knife scraping porcelain. You gave them to her? His voice cracked, tight with something I didn't want to name. Yes, I said slowly. She's always loved cookies. You never do, he snapped, and then he hung up. I stood in my kitchen, staring at my cold coffee. Only you. That's what he'd said. Later that day, his wife called. She was crying. She's in the hospital, she said. Your cookies? She collapsed. They don't know why. My stomach dropped. That night, I found a small plastic bottle at the bottom of my trash. No label. A ring of white powder stuck to the inside. I remembered the cookie in my fridge. One perfect star, untouched. The next morning, I handed it to an old friend who worked at a lab. I sat in my car shaking while she ran her tests. When she called, her voice was low. There's monk's hood in it, she said. Poison, not an accident. I sat frozen. My son, my baby, sent me poison wrapped in a bow. I almost ate it. Instead, I gave it away. When the detective called, I didn't lie. I told him everything. And when I handed over the last cookie in that bottle, it felt like cutting a piece of myself out and leaving it on someone else's desk. But that wasn't enough for me. I needed to see him. Needed him to know I wasn't blind anymore. I showed up at his house, sat in his spotless kitchen, watched him wash a clean glass while I asked him why he knew how to use monk's hood. He froze just for a second. But I saw it, and I knew. When I left, I had his slip-ups recorded on my phone, his quiet threat, his cold smile when he realized I'd figured it out. I sent it to the detective before I could lose my nerve, and when they arrested him, he looked calm. Like he'd planned for this moment too. Days later, his wife sat in my kitchen crying into her tea. Ruth survived. She doesn't know the full truth, and maybe she never will. I keep the last cookie in a locked box now. A reminder of the danger you can't taste until it's too late. I almost died because I wanted to forgive him. He failed because I didn't.